No, okay. Govinda. Sorry to be moving a bit slow. It was a colorful night over there at the Diamond Apartments. And the amazing thing is that by the time it comes to Sunday night, they'll all be lamenting and hungover. And get up on Monday morning and do it all over again. It's the same thing. It's amazing. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jasura Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jamuna Tira Vanatari Tira Vanatari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jasura Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Tira Vanatari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jamuna Tira Jaya Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Priya Vajikacharya Siddhadashi Shamanis Divine Grace Abhaya Charan Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Joe Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kodavesha Brinda Ki Namacharya Shahidas Thakur Ki Prem Shikaho Vishnu Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sheshi Radhakrishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radhakunda Gita Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tosi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Sambhira Bhakti Vinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Say Siddhara Gita Ki Sri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki Gopremanandi. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to divine lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Krishna Svedamo Bhagate Dharmaganadi Saha Kalanda Sadashamesha Parano Konanodata Narayana Namaskricha Naram Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Odirayat. The Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. It is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from the third canto, chapter 33, text 1. Correcto? All right. And it is titled Activities of Kapila. Maitreya Uvacha Evam Nishamya Kapilasya Vacho Janitri Sakaramasya Dayita Kila Deva Huti Vishrastamoha Patala Tamab Abhipranayamya Tushtava Tattva Vishayan Kitasiri Bhumim Maitreya Uvacha Evam Nishamya Kapilasya Vacho Janitri Sakaramasya Dayita Kila Deva Huti Visrasta Moha Patala Tamabi Pramanya Patala Tamabi Pramanya Tustava tattva vishayan kita siddhi bhumim. Evam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri. Sakaramasya daita gila deva hutihi. Vishrasta moha patala tami abhipranamanya. Tam abhipranamanya. Ya abhipranamanya tastva. Amen. Tushtava tattva vishayan kita siddhi bhumim. Maitreya vacha. Vaivam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri. Sakaramasya devahuti. Visrastra moha patalatam abhipramanya. Tushtava tattva vishayan kita siddhi bhumim. Maitreya vacha. Evam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri. Sakaramasya dahita kila deva huti. Visrasta moha patilatam abhiparanya. Tustava tattva vishayan kita siddhi bhumim. Maitreya vacha. Evam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri. Sakaramasya daita kila deva huti. Visrasta moha patalatam abhipramanya. Tustava tattva vishayan kita siddhi bhumim. Vaishnavi. Maitreya vacha. Evam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri. Sakaramasya dahita kila deva hutihi. Visrasta moha patilatam abhipramanya. Tushtava tattva vishayan kita siddhim bhumni. Maitreya uvacha. Maitreya said, Evam, thus, nishamya, having heard, Kapilasya, of Kapila, Lord Kapila, Vacha, the words, Janitri, the mother, Sa, she, Kardamasya, of Kardama Muni, Daita, the dear wife, Kila, namely, Devahuti, Vishrasta, free from, Mohapatala, the covering of illusion, Tam, unto him, Abhiparmanyam, Manyaya, having offered obeisances, Tushtava, recited prayers, Tattva, basic principles, Vishaya, in the matter of, Angita, the author, Siddhi, of liberation, Bhumim, the background. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila and the wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of Sankhya, the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses. I'll say, you say. I was waiting for the door. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and the wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation. And she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer. Purport. The system of philosophy, enunciated by Lord Kapila before his mother, is the background for situation on the spiritual platform. The specific significance of this system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi Bhumim. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in the material world, who might that be? Pretty much everybody, except for the pure devotees. People who are suffering in the material world, because they are conditioned by the material energy, can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila. By this system of philosophy, one can immediately become free, even though one is situated in the material world. And one should note one is still situated. In other words, even while one's still situated in the material world, you can become free. That happened for Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and that stage is called Jivan Mukti. That means that one is liberated even though one stays within the material body. That happened as Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated even within the material world. Let's read that again. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated even in this material world. So worth learning about? What do you think? Sound like a worthwhile endeavor? Huh? Okay. Om Aganatam Randasya Gana Gana Salakaya Jakshushimilitangena Taznati Shi Gurave Namaha. Hey, I should mention that I won't be here. I have some outpatient surgery. So I won't be here Monday morning for the morning program or all day. And then I may not be here Tuesday depending on how it all goes. I mean, I'll be here physically. I won't that won't be the end of me. But I may not be able to come over Tuesday. We have to just see how things are literally ticking. So, before diving into how Sankhya is the background of salvation, I wanted to say a little something because we're talking about a different system here. In the material world, at a mundane university or institution of learning, so-called learning or education, the qualification of the teacher is that the teacher knows the subject matter. They know the dry facts and figures. They can tell you 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, or what the square of a hypothesis is, or whatever. They can do their thing. But they may be a debauchee in person. In fact, we went to see one time Professor Dimmock. Professor Dimmock was the top Sanskrit scholar in the world. He was at the University of Chicago, so many things, and we wanted to get him to say something about Prabhupada's Gita. I went with, with not Paramahansa. There was another sannyasi. He later on became a sannyasi and then ran off with the daughter of the Shava ran. Huh? Not Paramahansa, Parabhajakacharya. So we went to see him. And at the appointed time, in his, we had a lakeside apartment right along Riverside Drive in Chicago, a beautiful old building, beautiful stone building. They have some beautiful buildings in Chicago. So it was very opulent and, this and that. And we, at the appointed hour, time, day, we knocked on the door. And we heard some stumbling and banging against furniture and this and that. And then finally we heard, did the locks. And he was in his bathrobe in a disheveled condition, hair all askew, and drunk as a skunk. He was so inebriated, pickled, that he kind of focused on us and then says, "Oh, I'm in no condition. Can you come back tomorrow?" And that was, so what is that, He's a professor, or they're lecherously leaning towards their female students. And the students, what is their qualification? So it is a case of the cheater and cheated. The level of the purity of the consciousness is irrelevant to the transmission of mundane knowledge. I mean, you have to be coherent, but beyond that. But here there's was it tadviti pranipatena pariprashena sevaya ubadakshanti te jnana jnanivas tattva darshana. I mean, the person has to be tattva darshan, they have to know the truth, but what else has to, on the part of the, so they have to know the truth and they have to be living, knowing the truth. Knowing and living is synonymous in Vedic culture. Knowing and living can be a complete, someone can teach philosophy and be a dog. But if one acharya means, the word, what is the root of the word acharya? Which means behavior. So knowing means living. There's no dichotomy, or what is the word? No divorcing the principle from the practice, which is completely contrary to mundane. And what is the mood in the verse I just quoted? What is the mood of the student? To receive knowledge. Before you can receive knowledge, what do you have to do? Pay your tuition? Pay your obeisances. Okay. But there has to be submission. There has to be service. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because the Gaudiya Mata had such a supreme standard of quality of scholarship, they were attracting all kinds of very educated people. And almost the more educated they were, they'd have them start off cleaning the latrine, washing pots. That's how they started. Just to reduce their pride. So submission and service, here we find that's the background for success. One of those great sutras by Vaisheshika Prabhu, he calls it the attitude of gratitude. That one has to have that mood of submission and service and gratitude. Then the thing opens up. When Krishna lists in Bhagavad Gita the qualities of knowledge, you know what the first quality listed is? Humility. Yeah, if you're not humble, you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting off the ground. You'll think you know something. So just I wanted to mention that as a precursor for actually gaining real knowledge, one has to have the right mood. And because we have the example of Devahuti here, how she satisfied the Lord by submission, by service, now beautiful prayers she's offering. Therefore, her heart was cleansed, her consciousness was pure, and she could hear and understand. I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj. We were at the University of Michigan, and we were chanting. We used to set up a little pandal tent and distribute prashadam. There's a lot of nice stories came out of that. But anyway, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. We were standing and talking, and this professor I knew from the religions department came up. And so he began talking with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked him, "Have you read Bhagavad Gita?" "Of course I've read Bhagavad Gita." And he said, "Did you understand it?" I mean, he's a professor of world religions. Of course I understood it. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked him, "So what are you going to do?" And when Tamal asked him, "What are you going to do?" you saw this quizzical, puzzled look come over his face. Like, okay, you read Bhagavad Gita, but what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Surrender to Krishna, become Krishna's devotee, engage in his devotional service. There's a conclusion. It is a call to action. So, unless one has that submission and service and pure consciousness, will not understand the actual message of hearing from a spiritual master. So there it is, without that attitude of gratitude. Now, it describes, Prabhupada says in the purport, and it also says in the verse, that it's the background of salvation. So background means what it rests upon, the ashraya, the support system. And I'll give you an example. I was thinking about this. Because it describes, I mean, this world, what is that saying? I saw a bumper sticker that if you're not paranoid, you haven't been paying attention. You know, I mean, this world is a rough place. And well, you've got, Yamunacharya, who was a king in previous life, or no, he was a, and then his spiritual master saved him. There's a whole story, but anyway, it's a long story. He was practicing spiritual life, but he wanted to find out what is this material enjoyment, and he took the body of a king, isn't it? There's a whole story, and he was enjoying like anything, got completely entangled. And then his spiritual master, he wouldn't see his spiritual master because he knew that his spiritual master would revive his spiritual life, you know? So it's a whole thing. And then his spiritual master goes into the kitchen and cooks one of his favorite preparations, and he tastes it and remembers his spiritual master and his times in the ashram. It's a whole thing. But the point is that, and then later on, Jamunacharya became one of the great teachers in our line. I think he's actually from South India, isn't it? Yeah. He's in the Ramanujacharya line? Yeah, Ramanujacharya line. Acha, you're right. Okay. So, but when he thinks of the apex of material enjoyment, which is sex, and its accoutrements, what does he do? Spits on the ground. Just disgust. What is this? What is this nonsense, And when you have Sankaracharya, when he looks out at, young boys are playing, young men are chasing after girls, or married and building up their, all their, what is it, and they say in Jewish, what is it, Geshpatzta, what is all your stuff. Mashbuka, you're building up all your mashbuka, your house, your car, your Brahmacharya is asked to move from point A to point B. He gets in the old days, gets a book box, puts in his 3 dhotis, his a couple pairs of kopans, his kurtas, Bhagavad Gita, and off he goes, The householder's got to rent a truck and the U-Haul and the packing the kids and the what is it, bark? What are the things called? Loungers? One of those lazy boy, they just, huh? Yeah. Even they go on so-called vacation. They take Vanapras, they go to the forest. They take a giant motorhome with them, isn't it? With the microwave oven and the shed. They take the whole, mushpuka? Mushpuka, they take the whole thing with them. So, Sankaracharya looking out at all. So the children are just playing, young teenagers, raging hormones, young householder working hard to build up the whole, pile up all the stuff. And then old men, old women, what are they doing? Looking back. Oh, this, oh, that. They're lamenting and reminiscing. So when he sees this, what does Sankaracharya do? We have Yamunacharya spitting. What is Sankaracharya doing? Anybody know? He simply laughs. He's laughing at the whole thing. How people are just wasting their life, you know? And there's that great Prabhupada bhajan. I highly recommend it. I try to read it at least, you know, every 6 months. It's that little Vrindavan bhajan by Prabhupada. And that's where he has that great line that what is it? I have my family, I have this and that, but what is left of all of this but a list of names? You know, I look at it and I laugh. And the whole thing has been wound up, the material life. You know? So, Prabhupada is one of those lines, and he says, and I'm paraphrasing, most people are chasing the mind's bananas. The mind's bananas, but you know, all the daydreaming. What do we say with the visions of sugar plums dancing in their head? Is an old Christmas carol. So people are dreaming of so many things, and he's just dreaming of the mind's bananas. All the tasty little things I'm going to sample. There's how many types of bananas in Bengal, Ram? How many types of bananas? Something. There's the little ones that are very sweet. All different, huh? Mostly in South? I mean, we're in South India or we're South Bengal? In South India. So, but in Bengal also, I've seen so many types of different colors, pink inside sometimes. So, dreaming of all the mind's bananas, you know. So, if I see if I see a coiled snake, suppose I was laughing because I actually, remember Jagadish and how he was into snakes? So he was driving me nuts one time. He was young, he could be pretty young and passionate and whatever. And I was about to strangle him. Just tell you the truth. And we were driving from, I forget, from SanDiego to, what time is it? From SanDiego to, we had a little preaching center in Albuquerque. We were driving to Albuquerque through the desert. And he was just getting on my nerves, like he was just talking Prajalpan, clicking on the radio, and then I was about to strangle him. And I went in, and I saw at the gas station, it was only $1.50. Maybe you saw this when you were a kid. It says rattlesnake eggs. And it's actually just a bolt on a rubber band, and you wind it up and you put it very carefully. And when the person opens it, sounds like a rattlesnake, and it's something about it freaks people. So I was so frustrated. I said, I'm either going to strangle this guy, I've got to get rid of my frustration with him. So I figured it's $1.50. I'll spend that on my householder budget. So I bought it and I wound the thing up, and because I knew he liked snakes, I said, hey, check this out. I said, there's snake eggs. And he, oh, really? And he said, oh, sweet mother of God. I don't know what exactly. I'm purifying what came out of his mouth, and I felt so much better. I got a lot of relief that, I thought, oh, geez. Took a lot of, frustration out, steam out of the system. But if you see a coiled snake, it's and you see the rattle going, or you see it's a freaker, isn't it? Yeah, it should be. But if you look at it and you think, oh, and you realize, oh, it's just a fake snake, or it's just a coiled rope, and it was, one of those little mariachis or whatever, those little, gourd rattles making this sound. Oh. You become completely free. That intense, you just laugh at yourself. Well, what was this? So similarly, if one understands, we're going to fast forward here. If one understands Sankhya Yoga, what actually is this world? When you're a kid, you ever have a kaleidoscope? Yeah, kaleidoscope. And it makes stained glass window, beautiful, like, you know, like Notre Dame or something, you know. When you open it up, what's inside that thing? Beautiful stained glass windows, pictures of the great cathedrals of London, of Europe. What's in there? Some little pieces of glass or even tissue paper, and 3 mirrors, which always reminds me of the 3 modes of material nature. It's the same thing. It's birth, death, disease, old age, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. It's just reflected in different ways through the 3 modes. And you're thinking, oh, that's a nice mind's banana. Oh, that's a pretty picture. What's in? And this way we're roaming through the world. But when you open the thing up, that's all it is. So Sankhya Yoga is like that. I'm going to read something because I want to end on close to time. What the? Oh, maybe it slid out. Did it slide out, or did I never put it in? I think I never put it in. Oh, that is funny. Anyway, it's described that there's... Picture this. Picture the Sariputa's example. If you have raisin pudding... Anyone know what raisin pudding is? You know what... does anyone even make raisin pudding? No, you and I are the same age, or you're a little older than me, but these kids don't have... Never had... He doesn't even know what it is. People used to... Believe it or not, people used to cook from raw ingredients. It's inconsistent. And they had ovens, and they had, you know... Raisin... How did you use the example? Well, I could say sweet raisin. It's not quite the same. For those of us who know, Sariputta said, raisin pudding is like, when you see it, it's the living entity in the material world. Because the raisins come right out of the pudding. The raisin bread. Everyone know raisin bread? Okay, jeez. Close cultural reference. You know, the raisin is independent of the bread. That's the, you know. When I was a kid, I didn't like raisins. I'd pick all the raisins out of the bread. You know, what is that? So the thing is, but the living entity, we are separate from. We're independent of that material nature. But Kapila Dev breaks it down. Not the atheist Kapila Dev, Bhagavan Kapila Dev. That there's, what is it? There's the 5 working senses. There's the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. There's the earth, fire, water. You know, there's the 5, you know, that makes up the material nature. First off, it starts with unmanifest pradhan. Then it becomes the mahatattva. And then it breaks down. But it's these, so you've got 5 elements, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. Then you've got the 4 subtle senses. You've got the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, and pure consciousness. You've got that gets you to 24. Yeah? Anyone know what the 25th element of Sankhya Yoga is? If I'm baking a cake, what do I need to have to get the whole mix working? A baker. It's pretty open and got to have an oven, got to have, okay, got to have a bowl, okay, fine. But you need to stir it. So time is the stirring element. Time mixes the whole thing together. So when one looks up, that's all that it is. It's the material nature, earth, fire, water, air, ether, like that. It's the knowledge-acquiring senses, working senses. It's the mental states, you know. And time is mixing it all up. And I'm the raisin. I'm completely independent of the whole thing. What am I doing with this chasing around? So one who understands this, just like why am I chasing after this? Why am I lamenting for it? I'm either doing 2 things. I'm either hankering or lamenting. That's, you know, it's an either-or state in the material world. There's a few moments. There may be a minute of satisfaction. Like I have an itch and I'm scratching it. But it comes right back. Anyway, we all know the phenomena. So I wanted to end on one last thing. So that's, if one can look out and see the material nature, see this world as what it is, then It's the background for liberation. Why am I chasing after it? Why am I lamenting for it? Why am I in anxiety about it? It's got nothing to do with me. Let me get about my real business, which is liberation. And I just wanted to say this. Because here we have, we're talking, just as sort of a chapter wrap-up, you know. We're talking, because we've just finished one chapter, we're going into another. We're talking about Devahuti and her liberation. Now, ordinarily, she would not be considered a candidate for liberation. She's a woman, I'm sorry to say, but there it is. She's a princess. You know, in the same way Arjuna was not considered, you know, a candidate for receiving Bhagavad Gita. He wasn't the big yogi living in the Himalayas on one chickpea a day. You know, he was engaged in his duties, in his affairs. So I was thinking how the Bhagavatam is a message of hope. That's the point I want to make. Here we have Devahuti. By submissive service and hearing and an attitude of gratitude, the whole thing opens up. She understands the whole Sankhya philosophy, becomes completely detached from this world. All the anxieties like, oh, it's not a snake, it's a rope. She immediately becomes freed from all of that, even though she was not apparently a qualified candidate. And the Bhagavatam is full of examples of that. Can anyone think of another woman profoundly stands out in Bhagavatam? Kunti, you know, completely liberated soul. Beyond that, pure devotee. Children are just foolish and playing. What are examples in the Bhagavatam of children, other than Zach, who just got one and has earned his points for breakfast? Yes? Prahlad and Dhruva. Prahlad's a 5-year-old boy. Dhruva was a passionate, wanted a kingdom bigger than his father. I was thinking of, and again, to Ambarish Maharaj, completely engaged in pounds, shilling, pence, managing his kingdom, so many things. I was also thinking of, if you really want to go to the classic, which Prabhupada would present, you know, in the West before us, who did he tell the story about? The classic, fallen, hopeless Ajamil. Completely hopeless, completely fallen, and saved from the most foul position. Saved by and personal darshan, saved by the Vishnu Dutas. So women, an attached man, king, children, so they all become paragons of self-realization. So the Bhagavatam and the process of bhakti, bona fide spiritual masters, sampradaya, taking initiation, and it won't end here, but what is it? First a little bit of faith, then sadhusanga, then bhajana kriya, then what comes, and then comes anartha nivritti, then comes you become fixed, nishta, then you get a little ruchi, then you have bhav, and then you have bhav, and then you have prem. It works. It's a progression. So here we have the example of, we should meditate on Devahuti's, what opened the door for her, the necessity of the appropriate consciousness, mood, and activity to allow the flame of spiritual life to ignite in one's heart. And the result, one becomes completely free, fearless, free from all the anxieties of this world. And anybody's qualified. The Bhagavatam is a message of hope. So we can end there. Only 5 minutes over. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.